Tonight, a deadly fire sweeps through a senior living facility. Tragedy in Massachusetts as a blaze at an assisted living facility kills 9, injuring dozens. Residents calling out for help, firefighters kicking down doors and pulling victims through windows.
I'm Marcus Moore in Fall River with the latest on the investigation and a look at how all of this started.
2 fast-moving wildfires at the Grand Canyon's North Rim, forcing evacuations and destroying the historic Grand Canyon Lodge, the visitor center, and a nearby water treatment facility. That famous lodge burned to the ground. The North Rim now closed for the rest of the season.
I'm Faith Abube. Near those fires, I'll show you the destruction left in their wake and what's being done to fight them.
President Trump signals a seismic shift in America's relationship with Russia, threatening Russia with steep tariffs and announcing a pipeline for U.S. weapons to reach Ukraine, giving Vladimir Putin 50 days to agree to a ceasefire.
I'm in panel in Kyiv with the latest on that about-face from President Trump and the reaction here on the ground.
The truth and myths about sun exposure and the need for sunscreen. Are higher SPFs better for your skin? Are mineral sunscreens really better than their chemical counterparts? And do I really need sunscreen year-round? The answers may surprise you. And the legend behind the music. The one and only Cyndi Lauper talks to us about her path to get where she is now, her latest passion, and why she keeps doing what she's doing.
There's the little kid in me who still believes that rock and roll can save the world.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is Prime with Linsey Davis.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Linsey Davis. Thank you so much for streaming with us. We begin tonight with that tragic and deadly fire at an assisted living facility in Massachusetts. Residents there heard screaming for help as flames erupted late Sunday night. It happened in Fall River, about 50 miles south of Boston. 50 firefighters, including 30 off-duty officers, rushed to the scene. They arrived to people hanging out of windows, begging for help. The facility is home to roughly 70 people. At this hour, at least 9 people are dead, dozens more are injured, including firefighters who battled the flames. Tonight, the fire is out. The building has been cleared, but questions still linger about just what sparked the blaze. Our Marcus Moore reports from near the scene of that deadly fire.
Linsey, it's been a difficult day here in Fall River, Massachusetts. This is the scene of that devastating fire. You can see the windows there boarded up. Those windows were the only way for some people to get out, and the investigation into the cause is just getting underway. Tonight, the harrowing rescues from a devastating fire at this assisted living facility in Massachusetts. It left at least 9 people dead and more than 30 injured. Heavy smoke and flames tearing through the Gabriel house in Fall River overnight. First responders banging on doors, climbing ladders, carefully rescuing dozens of residents from windows as they scream for help. You can see the broken windows up there and the shattered glass on the ground. For so many, this was their only way out. Lorraine Ferreira trapped in her room.
Smoke was heavy in there, and I opened the window, and I yelled, "Help, help, help." And the fireman came up the ladder, broke the window, and got me out.
Fearing the worst.
I thought I was dead. I really thought I was going to meet my maker. I did think that.
One after another, the injured rushed away on stretchers, residents in wheelchairs treated on the street. 5 firefighters among the injured. Captain Franco Reagan describing the horrific scene.
They raised a ladder. I went in. I didn't have an air tank or anything. First room empty. Second door I kicked in. Body. Next room empty. Next room body. I just kept yelling. Guys kept coming down. We kept dragging them out. But I searched as much as I could, and then after a while, they just can't take that much smoke.
They clearly did their best. Marcus Moore is back with us now from Massachusetts. Marcus, what comes next in this investigation?
Well, Linsey, we know that there are questions about the initial response to the fire. Some of the residents said that the staff response to the fire was inadequate. And in a statement to the Boston Globe, the owner says he is devastated by the tragedy here and that he's cooperating with the investigation. And Linsey, late today, officials said that the fire at this center does not appear to be suspicious, but really the investigation is just beginning.
Marcus Moore for us. Thanks so much, Marcus. And we have more dangerous fires to tell you about tonight. 104 fires are burning in 14 western states, and 2 of them are closing in on the Grand Canyon. The Dragon Bravo fire forced evacuations and destroyed dozens of buildings, including the historic Grand Canyon Lodge. And in Utah, a firefighter recorded this fire whirl at the Deer Creek fire. ABC's Faith Abube joins us now from Arizona. Hi, Faith.
Lindsay, the winds are picking up again, exactly the opposite of what firefighters were hoping for, meaning another tough night ahead as they try to get a handle on these raging wildfires. Tonight, campers, staff, and even firefighters near the Grand Canyon forced to evacuate after the Dragon Bravo fire exploded to nearly 6,000 acres. More than 70 buildings destroyed, including the nearly 100-year-old Grand Canyon Lodge, a national landmark. Kirsten Fong from Seattle had just checked in.
And then our tour guide came over and he was like, we actually have to hustle it up.
Firefighters forced to retreat after a chlorine gas leak broke out at a damaged water treatment plant nearby. While 40 miles north of there, the White Sage fire, now 50,000 acres. Fire officials there telling Melinda Marshall her family's 102-year-old inn is still standing.
Right now, they've been able to secure that line in front of us that we're safe, and we hope it stays that way. The North Rim is our home.
Extreme heat fueling extreme fire behavior across the bone-dry West. A firefighter capturing this massive vortex of fire and smoke known as a fire whirl, working the Deer Creek fire near Moab, Utah.
And Faith, we know that the governor of Arizona is calling for scrutiny into the government's response to the fire. Why so?
Yeah, Lindsay, she is furious about the damage done in the national park, calling for an independent investigation into the federal response to the Dragon Bravo fire, asking why the federal government chose to treat it as a controlled burn instead of more aggressively attacking that fire during the hottest parts of the year. Lindsay.
Faith Abube for us. Thanks so much, Faith. And from fire, we turn to floods in central Texas tonight, where those awful floods hit last week, killing so many. New flooding and heavy rains are forcing searchers to go to higher ground. Our Ginger Z is tracking that flood watch. But first, Maria Villarreal reports from Texas.
Tonight, residents across the Texas Hill Country on edge after rivers and creeks burst their banks and forced water rescues on Sunday. Crews battled a swift and powerful current to save this stranded driver stuck in waist-high water in McGregor, Texas, trying to throw him a life jacket, eventually taking him to safety in a boat.
Job number one is always saving lives, protecting lives, and finding those who have lost their lives.
After that July 4th flash flood killed at least 132 people along the Guadalupe River. Today, Kerr County on high alert with fresh rounds of rain, urging search teams to move to higher ground. Officials say the number of people still missing has dropped from 160 to 101 as more victims have been identified and more of the missing accounted for. Officials today warning the search could last up to 6 months.
We've heard accounts of trailer after trailer after trailer being swept into the river with families in them. Can't find the trailers.
So many still unaccounted for. Maria Villarreal joins us now. Maria, how are crews adjusting to searching in these conditions?
Well, you know, Lindsay, it's a lot of stop and go, as you can see right behind me. This is what the rain did today to the river. It was not looking like this just a few hours ago. It rose several feet. Crews that we actually spoke with today, closer to some of the restaurants where we know a lot of the missing have been actually found and located, tell me it is all about just making sure that they stay close to the people that are coordinating all of the search efforts, and then making sure that they follow the weather as well. They know, obviously, they cannot be out in very stringent conditions. They have to be careful for their own safety, but they also want to make sure they tell everybody that this is still a 100% recovery mission for them that they are not giving up on.
All right, Maria Villarreal for us. Thanks so much, Maria. As far as when conditions will clear up for those still searching in Texas Hill Country, ABC's chief meteorologist Ginger Z is tracking it all for us. Hi, Ginger.
Hey, Lindsay, yes, we're still watching the flood watch in the hill country of Texas. That has been extended now through tomorrow morning. You can see it kind of dry out, but then some scattered storms come back in. So really any moisture on top of the flooding over the weekend, the flooding again today, is just going to make those rivers and creeks be too high for comfort. So we will see a much drier pattern as we get toward Wednesday and then the end of the week and definitely through the weekend.
And Ginger, we know that there's also a significant flash flood threat for cities across the Northeast, like Baltimore, Washington, Philadelphia, New York, with more than 50 million people on alert, thousands of flights canceled or delayed. What can we expect on that front?
Well, we have taken cover because there's been so much lightning around here. We've been getting flash flood warnings on our phone, and they read, this is a dangerous and life-threatening situation. It says, do not travel if you don't have to or if you have not been ordered to evacuate. There have been high water rescues right here about 15 miles away from me. Roads are closed down through New Jersey, and everybody you see with that highlight on the map back through Pennsylvania, that red, that's a flash flood warning. That's when it's imminent, it's happening. You do not go out in a vehicle unless the authorities have asked you to get away from a body of water. Then we want to talk about that flood watch, because that's more extensive from Virginia up through western Massachusetts and Connecticut. The problem with these storms is they're moving too slowly. They're training, as we call it. So some of the rainfall rates are on the order of 3 to 4 inch per hour. That's why we're in that significant level 3 out of 4, second highest level there is through tonight. And that's the timing, is the next couple of hours are the worst, and then it kind of dwindles as we get toward midnight. Virginia has a few spots of storms left. Lindsay.
All right. Very helpful information there, Ginger. Our thanks to you. Tonight, President Trump is trying to quiet a revolt among many of his most devoted supporters after the Justice Department declined to release any additional information in the investigation of Jeffrey Epstein. Attorney General Pam Bondi once promised the truth would come out. Tonight, President Trump is standing by her. Here's Jonathan Karl.
Tonight, the White House is trying to diffuse an explosion of anger among President Trump's core supporters after the Justice Department and FBI announced it would not release any more information about the investigation into sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
How many of you are not satisfied with the results of the investigation?
For years, FBI Director Kash Patel and his deputy, Dan Bongino, stoked shadowy conspiracy theories surrounding Epstein. Shortly after becoming Attorney General, Pam Bondi promised the truth would come out, claiming she had a list of Epstein's clients.
It's sitting on my desk right now to review.
But last week, Bondi said there was no list at all.
I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that.
The president, like many New York celebrities, had some association with Epstein. When Epstein was arrested in 2019, Trump said they had had a falling out and hadn't spoken for 15 years. Now the president is calling out his own supporters, saying, "What's going on with my boys and in some cases gals?" They're all going after Attorney General Pam Bondi, who is doing a fantastic job. Trump is urging them not to, quote, waste time and energy on Jeffrey Epstein, somebody that nobody cares about. But today his daughter-in-law, Laura Trump, said the president wants to, quote, set things right.
Well, I do think that there needs to be more transparency on this, and I think that will happen.
Top Democrats say Trump and his team created the problem themselves.
This was a conspiracy that Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, and these MAGA extremists have been fanning the flames of for the last several years. And now the chickens are coming home to roost.
Our thanks to John Karl. About 24 states' attorneys general and governors are suing the Trump administration over its withholding of more than $6 billion in federal funding for education programs. States taking part in the lawsuit say if funding is not restored, consequences will be dire for millions of American students, especially high-need students. Plaintiffs say after-school programs, courses for English learners, and teacher preparation programs could all be shuttered. Also today, the Supreme Court handed President Trump a win, allowing him to effectively dismantle the Education Department by laying off nearly 1,400 additional workers. About half of its workforce is now gone. And President Trump today with some tough words for Vladimir Putin and signaling a shift on getting new American-made weapons into the hands of Ukrainians. Our chief foreign correspondent Ian Pannell reports from Ukraine.
Tonight, a major about-face for President Trump, announcing he's selling US-made air defense weapons to NATO to help defend Ukraine from Russia's relentless assault. The move comes after months of praising Vladimir Putin, saying he believed he wanted peace. Today, he threw in the towel.
And I'm disappointed in President Putin because I thought we would have had a deal 2 months ago, but it doesn't seem to get there.
It was the deadliest month for civilians in Ukraine. Russian missile strikes in major cities increasing from a year ago. Trump growing frustrated.
We thought we had a deal numerous times. I'd get home, I'd say, First Lady, I had the most wonderful talk with Vladimir. I think we're finished. And then I'll turn on the television, or she'll say to me one time, wow, that's strange because they just bombed a nursing home. I said, what?
Now, along with those Patriot missile systems, President Trump threatening severe tariffs within 50 days unless Russia agrees to a peace deal. President Zelensky, who met with the US Special Envoy earlier, speaking to Trump tonight, welcoming the move.
Zelensky has certainly been asking for this help for years. Ian joins us now from Kyiv. Ian, in talking to Ukrainians, it sounds like believe that this military aid is too little too late.
Yeah, I mean, I think the official line is this is exactly what they've been calling for. They feel that now the US administration is seeing things the way that Ukraine has always seen it. In other words, you can't trust Vladimir Putin. I think many Europeans, many NATO members will also feel the same. But actually, you don't have to scratch particularly hard to find a sense here of weariness. They feel they've heard all the promises before. They've had weapons sent to them, had defense systems sent to them. It hasn't stopped the drones from flying, the missiles from falling, and from people dying. The last month, June, was the deadliest month since this war has began. Over 230 people lost their lives around the country. And that bombardment goes on. In the words of one analyst, this is like giving morphine to a cancer patient. Lindsay?
Quite a description there. Ian Panel for us in Kyiv. Thanks so much, Ian. Joining us now for more is ABC News contributor Mick Mulroy. Mick, thank you so much for your time, as always. So how important are these new Patriot missiles for Ukraine on the battlefield?
Well, Lindsay, they're very important. They are one of the best air and missile defense systems in the world. They're one of the few that can not only shoot down ballistic missiles, but also hypersonic missiles, which Russia said there was no system that could do that. The Patriots have showed that they can. So it's very important. That said, they're going to need offensive weapons, and a lot of them, to turn the tide here. Russia is making advances, incrementally, yes, and it is important to have defensive systems, but you're not going to win a war or be successful in pushing them back with just defensive systems. So this needs to go well beyond that, and hopefully it will, with the U.S. Basically allowing NATO to buy our key offensive weapons and get them to into Ukraine.
What do you make of this apparent change in strategy by Trump as he grows impatient with Putin?
Well, it's certainly a good thing that we now understand that it is Russia who not only, of course, started the war, but Russia who will not accept the U.S. proposed ceasefire. And it appears has no intention to stop this war. In fact, they're increasing, as Ian said, their attacks not only against Ukrainian military targets, but civilians and civilian infrastructure. So it is important that it happens, but it needs to be followed up with passing the Sanctioning Russia Act, for example, which has 84 or 85 senators supporting it in the Senate right now, or taking the frozen Russian assets and starting allowing Ukraine to purchase these offensive weapons themselves. There's a lot of things that need to go into this to really change the calculation of President Putin to get him back to the table.
And how realistic of an expectation is there that as we sit here tonight, do you have any reason to believe that Russia will come to the table within 50 days like Trump wants him to?
So if they don't pass the Sanctioning Russia Act, for example, and they don't start unfreezing Russian assets, I don't think it will be enough to get him to the table. Right now, it's 100% tariff on Russia that has to be applied, what's called secondary sanctions. So countries rather, that deal with Russia, because we don't buy much from Russia. So it has to expand to include those that purchase, say, energy from Russia, which is what the Sanctioning Russia Act does do, because that is really what's going to cut off the funding that Russia uses for their war in Ukraine. If it's just a tariff against Russia, it's not going to have the desired effect of getting them back to the table in any reasonable manner.
How does Ukraine have the desired effect that they want, as far as not just being in position to protect themselves, but actually to win the war?
So they have shown, most analysts gave them 3 weeks, and we're over 3 years. They have shown they have no problem going toe-to-toe against Russia and being successful. The issue is they are vastly outnumbered, and now we're seeing 30,000 North Koreans coming into the battle space to fight against Ukraine. They need their supporters, their partners, to increase the level of offensive weapons they can use to start turning the tides on Russia.
Mick Mulroy, thank you so much for your insight and time, as always.
Thanks.
After the Biden administration championed removing medical debt from consumer credit reports, a Trump-appointed judge has now reversed the policy. The Biden-era rule would have wiped unpaid medical debt from the credit reports of 15 million Americans, totaling nearly $50 billion. A U.S. District Court judge has ruled that the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau lacks the authority to enforce that policy. 2 days before Beyoncé's Grammy-winning Cowboy Carter tour kicked off in Atlanta, thieves allegedly made off with 2 suitcases full of unreleased music, footage plans, and future set lists. Atlanta police issued an arrest warrant for a suspect accused of breaking into her choreographer's SUV and stealing irreplaceable hard drives. Still ahead, summer is here, and that means many are soaking up the sun and lathering on the sunscreen. But what should you look for on the bottle? And is there any such thing as a safe tan? We debunk sunscreen myths with a board-certified dermatologist next. Welcome back, everyone. We are, of course, coming off of a sunny summer weekend in the Northeast, so it's as good a time as any to note a new report from the American Cancer Society from earlier this year, reminding us that skin cancer remains the most commonly diagnosed cancer in the United States. Soaking up those rays comes with some serious risks, and that is tonight's By the Numbers. It's estimated that more than 200,000 new cases of melanoma will be diagnosed in the U.S. this year. Melanoma, being the deadliest form of skin cancer, will affect about 1 in 33 white people in their lifetime. Rates are much lower for people with darker skin. Still, people with darker skin should also be applying that sunscreen. Melanoma is often diagnosed much later in people with dark skin. 22% of melanoma cases in African American patients are diagnosed after the cancer has already spread to the lymph nodes. Basal and squamous cell carcinomas are 2 of the most common and treatable forms of skin cancer. 3.3 million Americans were diagnosed with these carcinomas in 2012, the latest year for that statistic. Want to avoid skin cancer? Apply sunscreen year-round and don't get a sunburn. According to one study, your risk of developing melanoma increases by 80% if you experience 5 or more blistering sunburns between 15 years old and 20 years old. And dermatologists remind us we should be using sunscreen with an SPF greater than 30 year-round, even in the wintertime. We may not often get sunburns in January, but damage from the sun's harmful UV rays is still being done to our multiple layers of skin cells, and that damage is cumulative. The more time skin not covered by clothing is exposed to the sun over the course of a lifetime, the greater the chance of developing skin cancer. And joining us now in studio is Dr. Janine Downey, a board-certified dermatologist and director of Image Dermatology in New Jersey. So good to have you with us, Dr. Downey.
Nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Linsey.
So let's just start with the sticker shock you see. I was in the drugstore the other day trying to figure out what SPF sunscreen I wanted. There was some near like $100. Is this a case of you get what you pay for, or it's not necessary to buy those fancy brands?
So some of the fancy brands are necessary, but first of all, you need to wear an SPF of 30 or above. So we just need to get that clear right away. And an SPF of 30 gives you about 97% protection from the sun's rays. And then an SPF of 45 gives you about 98% protection from the sun's rays. And after that, it all kind of starts to level out. So you don't necessarily need an SPF of 100. But to your point, the more expensive sunblocks block what we're looking for, which is blocking UVA, UVB, right? Those cause cancer and cause premature aging, but they also block Hibble. Some of them, high energy visible light. That's that blue light from your phone, computer, Apple Watch, iPad, all of that. The light here in the studio right now. And then they block infrared, which is heat. Getting in a hot car, opening a hot oven. Those are examples of infrared heat, and that can also pigment your skin, and that can also prematurely age your skin.
Wow, so I thought it was just going outside, the sun that was the danger,
no,
but it's all
inside and outside, every single day.
So even if you're inside your house all day, still put the SPF on?
Absolutely, after you brush your teeth in the morning. So I go ahead and turn my phone on, I brush my teeth, and I don't look at my phone until I have sunscreen on my face, because I don't want all that blue light aggravating my face.
What do you look for as a dermatologist when you're looking at all the bottles? What do you want to make sure that it says?
Okay, so I like oxybenzone and I like avobenzone. So those are 2 that I really like because those are in chemical sunscreens. So that'll rub in. I like the micronized zinc or titanium dioxide because I need it to rub into my skin. I don't like it to lay on the surface. So the physical lays on the surface of your skin. The chemical gets absorbed into your skin, and then it absorbs and the heat reflects out.
Oh, so when I go running and I have my face all white, lathered up with the
I like
mineral,
that. That's what I do
okay?
too. That's because we're running.
Okay.
We're running. We've already got husbands, so we're not looking looking to be cute.
Good.
So that's okay. But right now, of course, my sunscreen had to be all rubbed in to come into the studio.
Okay,
you know?
Makes sense. There are a lot of people who think maybe it's a misnomer, but perhaps, oh, I have browner skin, I'm good, I don't need the extra SPF.
Thank you. That's not true. So in melanin, if you're really dark-skinned West African, SPF of 13 at best. If you're really light-skinned Norwegian, SPF of only 4. You and I are probably somewhere around a 7, which really does not protect you. It really honestly needs to be a 30 or above. And then you think about the skin cancer rates. The 5-year survival rate for African Americans for melanoma is only 70% because we're underdiagnosed and not treated as fast, whereas for Caucasian Americans, it's about 94%. That's a significant disparity.
I'm feeling really bad about myself because I did not put SPF. I thought it was going to rain today, and I know it's still the cloudy.
77% of the sun's rays penetrate through the clouds.
It still matters. I understand that. But what I tell myself every once in a while, and I know I'm wrong, so you can correct me here on national television, vitamin D, we know, is a good thing that we get from sunlight.
Anti-carcinogenic, absolutely great.
So if every once in a while you happen to get that sun without the sunscreen, that's still not good.
No. Okay. You can have oily fishes, you can have a balanced diet, you can take a vitamin D supplement because it helps heart health, bone health, it helps in terms of fighting cancer, literally. So vitamin D is super important. But, you don't have to, and plus you don't have sunscreen on your legs right now. So even if you put it on your face, you didn't put it on your legs, so you're still getting
other body
it.
parts.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense. There are a lot of people we see on social media, TikTok, making their own sunscreen. You don't like
Again,
this.
Thank you. I always say just because it's natural doesn't mean it's good for you. Poison ivy's natural, for God's sakes. It doesn't mean it's good for you. So I tell people no. There's no protection using your own sunscreen. You're going to cause yourself to have more skin cancers and more photoaging. So that's a no.
But I think that their fear is that there are chemicals, perhaps, in some of the sunscreens. Is there any truth to that there are some we maybe should avoid?
Octinoxate is one of them that some people say might be an endocrine disruptor, which can, maybe interfere with your hormones or mimic your hormones. Quite frankly, the phthalates in plastics, like drinking from a plastic water bottle, are far more in terms of endocrine disruptors or hormone disruptors. So these really need to be studied more, and the jury is still out on them. So I say go ahead and wear the sunblock and protect yourself from skin cancer, because more than 5 sunburns in the course of your life doubles your risk of getting a melanoma, regardless, again, of your ethnicity.
And just lastly, before we go, you said you put it on, the sunscreen on, after you brush your teeth. Do you reapply then?
Yeah, because then I go and I exercise, and then I come back up and I take a shower, and then I put more sunblock on before I walk out the door. So the only time I don't have sunblock on is when I'm sleeping and when I'm showering.
All right.
And the best sunblock is the one you wear. So I want your viewers to take that away. The best sunscreen for you is the one that you're going to wear and reapply.
All right. Dr. Janine Downey, we thank you so much. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for such great advice. Coming up, we head to Pamplona, Spain for the running of the bulls, where people volunteer to have angry 2,000-pound bulls chase them through the narrow streets. We'll explain the tradition coming up. And at 84 years old, 7 years since his retirement, singer Neil Diamond is still surprising his fans. We'll tell you where and when next. Welcome back, everyone. It's a dangerous tradition steeped in centuries of history. Tens of thousands of people descended upon Pamplona's annual San Fermin Bull Running Festival, which came to a close today. Each morning of the 9-day stretch, runners sprint to avoid charging bulls. But what motivates festival goers to actually run for their lives? Turns out it's about a lot more than just thrills. Our Inez de la Cotada takes us to the storied festival to find out in tonight's Prime Focus.
In the narrow streets of Pamplona, Spain, Amir Nakyavani and Roger Bigwood are getting ready to run for their lives. Massive bulls heading straight towards them, their horns sharp enough to tear through human flesh. Chaos erupting on the streets, thousands beginning to flee. Here, just taking a tumble can be fatal. But Amir and Roger are here by choice, partaking in the centuries-old tradition known as the running of the bulls, a highly dangerous highlight of Pamplona's San Fermin festival. We meet Amir and Roger the night before, Amir surprising his brother-in-law with a trip to Pamplona.
So what happens in the morning is there's a police line that forms here. The police line breaks, they escape through the fence there, and then the runners will run down to the bulls and then run them up the hill.
To do it right, they've turned to this man for guidance. American Bill Cunningham, who has been coming to Pamplona for over 20 years and now trains first-timers.
You'll see, these bricks are really slippery.
They do a little recon by walking the route the day before.
The stance is hands in front of you, okay, as feelers. Hands out, swivel, swivel. Yeah, you're like swimming through the people.
Bill knows everything there is to know about the bulls. Their names, what ranch they're from, and what the best strategy might be for each part of the race. Every year, people are injured, including close to 49 this year. Some have even died, the last in 2009. Bill has been gored 3 times over the years. The biggest threat, he says, are the bulls that separate from the herd and become more aggressive, known as sueltos.
The chance of there being a suelto tomorrow is way high. Tomorrow's going to be very, very difficult.
The festival is at its core a religious event, honoring the patron saint of the region, Saint Fermin.
My first glimpse of a bull, it felt like time had stopped and froze. I was awestruck, and it really triggered something deep in me.
Bill quickly discovered a niche community of expert runners, including Americans Andrew Echanove and Tom Gowan.
This is me in the white shirt with the animals coming up on me.
Who landed in Pamplona right after serving in Vietnam.
I've been coming here since 1973.
His apartment, now essentially a bull running museum.
What this gave me was a new sense of danger. If you run well, you get accepted by the boss runners. And then they become like family to you because you're running side by side. You're saving each other from situations.
You might come for the bull run and the encierro and the adrenaline, but I think what keeps folks coming back, certainly us, are the people. As he mentioned, the people in this town, once they accept you, they'll bring you in just like you're one of their own. It's special.
Bull runs are held every morning for a week. Each animal is killed in a bullfight later in the day. Animal rights activists have for years decried the practice as cruel and called for it to stop. PETA claims that over the course of the week-long festival, about 60 bulls are killed.
This is a way of honoring the animal. The Spanish have a different relationship with death. This is their form of a slaughterhouse to put on this spectacle.
At the crack of dawn, the city's main square is nearly as busy as it was when we left it. The streets still packed as final touches are put in place.
You can see the amount of people who've gathered here already, both to watch the race and to participate, all dressed in red and white. It's basically impossible to get by.
Slide into home base under the barricades.
Bill giving his students one last pep talk before we head to their starting point.
So the goal is to run with them for as long as possible and make it to the arena.
Yes, and hopefully beside them, and not in front of them, not where the real danger is.
Before every run, the crowd prays and breaks into song. The rocket that marks the start of the race is then fired off, sending those bulls tearing through the streets. Amir and Roger are off. It's all over in a flash. At least 5 injured in this race. 1 gored.
So good. I survived.
Amir and Roger did make it out okay, with just a scraped knee.
I really loved it. If you feel numb at all before, doing this just makes you feel really wired.
In the presence of such majestic animals,
running by you. It's just incredible. I mean, you can't explain it.
You feel connected to the animal. You feel like you're one with the animal when you get in front of the bull.
As for Bill, he says he'll keep coming back for as long as he can run.
It's part of who I am. It's part of my identity. You know, it's a religion for me. It really is. It's a religion for me. I'm in love with this animal. This animal is giving me life.
So many must feel like Bill. Our thanks to Inez de la Cuetada for that. Coming up, Bitcoin reaches a record high. What's behind the surge as lawmakers look to find new ways to regulate it? Plus, her career has stood the test of time. Tonight, our Stephanie Ramos sits down one-on-one with iconic singer Cyndi Lauper about her farewell upcoming Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction and her latest project set for the stage. Why Bitcoin is hitting an all-time high, what you need to know about changes in the regulation of food dyes, and the awkward moment when President Trump was on stage celebrating with the winners of the Club World Cup. These stories and more in tonight's Rundown. Police in South Carolina were led on an extended car chase by a Toyota Camry that was driving erratically on the highway. The driver careened off-road, trying to evade authorities before crashing into a ditch. That was when the suspect hopped out of the Toyota and got into the passenger side of a box truck in what appeared to be an attempted carjacking. However, authorities were there and stopped the suspect from committing any further havoc. The driver was arrested on the scene. The 2025 MLB draft is underway, and the first round of picks brought plenty of surprises. The Washington Nationals had the #1 pick and awed baseball insiders by taking Oklahoma high school shortstop Eli Willits. Then the Los Angeles Angels made a surprising pick of their own, taking UC Santa Barbara pitcher Tyler Bremner. The nature of the baseball draft means that some of the picks seem surprising at the moment, but will become clearer in the grand scheme of how much each team has to spend on signing bonuses. The cryptocurrency Bitcoin hit a new all-time high today, exceeding $120,000 as Congress considers legislation that would regulate the nascent digital investment. The House is calling this Crypto Week as they begin deliberating on the series of bills. The crypto industry hopes this will bring some legitimacy and guardrails to the buying and selling of digital currencies. The FDA has approved another natural food color additive called Gardenia Blue. It's part of the agency's broader effort to phase out synthetic dyes in food and drink products. The new blue food color can now be used in a range of beverages, candies, frozen treats, breakfast cereal, frosting, ice creams, and certain desserts. Separately, the FDA also says the agency has sent letters asking food companies to phase out synthetic dye red number 3 before a 2027 deadline. The Chelsea Football Club was crowned victors of the Club World Cup on Sunday at MetLife Stadium in Jersey. The English club was presented with the trophy by President Trump and FIFA President Gianni Infantino after beating a French team 3-0. Trump then stayed on stage with the team as they lifted the cup for the first time, leading to some confusion among the players. The team celebrated their win as Trump was gracefully led away from the photo op by the FIFA president. Neil Diamond made a surprise performance in front of thousands of fans. He appeared at a performance of A Beautiful Noise, the Neil Diamond musical in Los Angeles, and led a spontaneous sing-along of his classic Sweet Caroline. Diamond retired from touring after being diagnosed with Parkinson's in 2018. She first captured the world's attention with an 80s girl power pop anthem. Her debut album produced several #1 hits that have stood the test of time. Now, after more than 4 decades in the spotlight as a singer, fashion icon, Broadway composer, and ally, Cyndi Lauper is closing the curtain on her farewell tour, celebrating a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction and preparing for her next big project to hit the stage. Our Stephanie Ramos sat down with Lauper to look forward and, of course, take a moment to look back, too, in tonight's Prime playlist.
A quintessential part of the pop landscape, Cyndi Lauper's sound, style, and stance has made an undeniable mark on how artists approach music today.
Hello, hey, there you are, doll. You look great. Okay, look at you. All right,
So nice to see you.
Now, after 4 decades as a household name, she's looking back fondly at her storied career.
Which one's your favorite?
Oh, man.
Some album
I don't
covers,
know,
some candids.
Oh, I
Hulk
remember that.
Hogan.
That's my guitar. I remember
Great
that
shots.
here, too.
You're at the end of your farewell tour. Why now?
I felt like it was a good time to bring everybody together. This tour has been different from any tour I've ever done. It's kind of the one I always wanted to do.
What's your message to fans, to everyone that's seen you on tour, the folks that still have yet to see you on tour?
It's a great celebration to see everyone. Some people come dressed up. Everyone's welcome and they leave happy.
When you found out that you were nominated and inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, what went through your mind?
All the women that came before me and how this is a step forward.
But before the accolades, the awards, the philanthropy, she was just a rebellious girl from New York with an astonishing 4-octave range.
Walk us through that process of just breaking into the music industry. What was that like, especially during that time?
I went for an audition and I made a mistake. I was singing the Gladys Knight song, Imagination. And, you know, she jumps to the 5th, and I was so nervous I jumped higher. All of a sudden, I heard this big sound coming out, and I was like, really? I couldn't, like, I looked at the people I was auditioning for, and they were like, and I was thinking to myself, yeah, you think you're surprised? I'm surprised. Holy cow, I didn't know. I learned how to sing in front of people by working in a band. The first song I sang was a Bad Company song. And when I'm inducted this year, Bad Company's being inducted too. And it's kind of a weird full life circle thing that happened. That's what life is. You keep coming around. It's like, oh my God, I've been here before, kind of, sorta.
Full circle for Lauper, her farewell tour named after her unmistakable 80s hit, Girls Just Wanna Have Fun. A call for freedom and joy, winning one of the first MTV Video Music Awards in 1984. Still to this day, resonating. Nearly 1.5 billion streams on Spotify.
Well, Girls Just Want to Have Fun was an anthem. I mean, it was supposed to be.
The song, originally written by a man, Lauper decided to switch up the lyrics to match her viewpoint.
When you first heard the song, what were your initial thoughts?
It just wasn't working. So the parts that weren't good as an anthem for women, they were gone.
One of her background singers encouraged Cyndi to lean into her New York roots.
She said, you and me, Sim, will go in the stairway. Use your accent. And I was like, what accent? Hey! You know, but, and that's what girls, they wanna have fun.
Did you ever get any pushback, especially in the beginning, from the industry to conform or change your look?
I would hear things like, oh, she dresses so loud, I can't hear how she sings. And then at one point, people started dressing like me. You know, you always have to figure when people get really upset with you, it could be because maybe you're a little contagious.
Lauper became the first female singer to have 4 top 5 singles on the Hot 100 from one album,
including that heartbreak anthem, Time After Time, with more than 1 billion streams on Spotify, and was named in Rolling Stone's 500 best songs of all time.
If you're lost, you can look and you will find me. Time after time.
Lauper even walking away with the Grammy for Best New Artist in 1985.
What do you think, Mom?
Lauper quickly realizing her newfound fame gave her a platform to raise awareness.
There's the little kid in me who still believes that rock and roll can save the world. We can band together. We can help the world. And that's what I think music should be.
Contributing to the 1985 fundraising smash hit, We Are the World, to combat famine in Ethiopia.
Realize, oh, that
a celebrated ally in the gay community. During the AIDS crisis, her song True Colors became a message of accepting yourself.
See your true colors, and that's why I love you.
In 2008, forming True Colors United with the goal to end LGBTQ youth homelessness.
It's time for things to change.
Even composing Kinky Boots, the 2013 high-heeled musical about drag and embracing your authentic self, winning a Grammy and a Tony for her work. And she's not done yet, composing once again for the upcoming musical adaptation to Working Girl, set for its world premiere in La Jolla this fall.
So it's all performance art and telling a story. And that, to me, I've always wanted to do.
As you say goodbye to touring, is it bittersweet at all? No?
No.
You're ready. You're ready to do it, get on the stage.
I'm strong now. But like in a couple years, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to have like the walk of girls. Come on.
After her world tour wraps, Lauper says she'll take a much-deserved 4-month rest. And in November, her legacy will be sealed by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Los Angeles, where she'll be inducted as part of the 2025 class.
Artists who have created music whose originality, impact, and influence has changed the course of rock and roll. You've done so much. Is this exactly what you wanted to set out to do? Is this how you thought this journey would go for you?
You know me.
It's been a ride.
Accolades are okay and great, but that's not going to stop me from doing what I think I could do and contribute to the world. And that's the most important thing. If you can add something to wake us up, to be woken up myself, then that's what you're here for. And you want to stand in the right spot where lightning strikes and feel alive.
Time after time.
What a fun and meaningful conversation. Our thanks to Stephanie for that. Want more time with your favorite artists like Phineas, Pink Pantheress, Green Day, and Hozier? Stream our full episodes of the playlist right now on Hulu and Disney+. And that is our show for this hour. I'm Linsey Davis. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thanks so much for streaming with us.